Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here back in New Vienna, Iowa. It's time for another live stream. Today is Friday, August 20th. I have to check the date. August 20th, 2021. Hopefully you guys are doing well. I did not go for a run this morning because my wife picked me up late last night, and then she drove me back in Chicago, and then she drove us here to Grandma's house. We're going to have one more weekend of summer before we got to start getting ready for school with the kids and everything. So today we're going to have a guest on, Tommie Runz. I think a lot of you guys probably already know who he is. If you guys don't, you might have seen him from last week's festivities over in Boston, and he's in the room now. I see him, but I'll bring him in just a second. Before I bring him in, what I want to make sure that I do is say hi to everyone listening in on the podcast, on the audio-only version. Hopefully you guys are having a good run out there today, and hopefully it's not too hot. And then for everyone that is watching this on YouTube after the fact, hopefully it's a nice time of your day where you can sit back with a nice recovery beverage, rehydrate. I've got just some water for today. I was hoping Grandma might have some lemonade mix lying around, but I couldn't find it right away, so I'm just going with some water. All right, let's see who's in the chat, and then we'll bring in Tommie. I've got Linda L in here. Sorry, guys, I'm bumping the camera. I'm trying a webcam today. I'm trying to keep my packet, like whatever, everything I'm doing, light when I'm not at home. Hopefully this will work. You know, the lighting's always weird up here in the upstairs, but that's what's going on. Linda's here. Garrett's here as well. He's going to watch later, but because he's got to go off to work. Raj Kumar's here, has a talking about his rotation. He's got a Mach 4, Nike Invincible for recovery days, and the Metaspeed Sky. I feel like that's a pretty good combo. Jeff Elliott says, hello, everyone. Vincent says, hey, Kofuzians. And Thomas Villa says, yo, what's going on? Grab a summer beer at the beer store. Nice, nice. All right, and we got a question here from Vincent Venura. Says, would the Noosa Try 13 work as a daily trainer? And I think I got the person here that can answer that question, and I think now it's a good time to bring in our friend Tommie. Tommie,
yo,
what's going on?
Yo. How's it going, brother?
How are you? It's good to see you.
Pretty good, man. Yeah, so the daily trainer question.
Diving right in.
Just jump right into this. Yes, I think the Noosa Try 13 would be a great daily trainer. If you're looking for that like responsive feel, but like quick, it's definitely like a workhorse for sure. So yeah, go for that. I mean, my daily trainer though is the Nova Blast 2, but then like when I want to feel like I want to turn over a bit more, like an easy run turn into like strides, then I go for Noosa. Like I wore the Noosas yesterday, and it was I just lied to you already with the lies.
But you also have like what we think is a rare Noosa Try, isn't that right? We saw you wearing them in Boston. You had a black and white colorway of the Noosa Try, which I had never seen before. And tell me what the ASICS people thought when they saw your Noosa Tries.
Yeah, I thought maybe for a moment there that I had got like a bootleg like Noosa Try, because like I'm standing around people from ASICS and they're like, what? Those aren't Noosa Tries. I'm like, yeah, they are. They're the 13. They're looking at them. I'm like, wow, those are awesome. I've never seen this color before. And I kept like kind of getting weirded out by it. Maybe I got sold like a funky pair, but apparently like there's just like some rare color that didn't even really make it to the website at first, I guess, and it ended up in a shoe store in Toledo. Like if you guys want some rare shoes, go to Dave's Running in Toledo, Ohio. Apparently they're selling stuff that even people at ASICS don't even know about.
That's awesome. Can you imagine if there must be like some sort of way that, imagine if that's like the graveyard for shoes that like didn't quite make it. Maybe like only a handful of them worked out and they were like, we don't have enough of these to release them, but we can make a buck or something. Or maybe someone is like, dude, they're destroying all these shoes. You know what? I'm going to put them in my trunk and then.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like it was like one of those things where it's like, I mean, maybe like, sometimes like, I'm not calling them an outlet, but like, sometimes at the outlet you see a color that you never saw. Yeah. That's what it felt like. And they're like, no, I've never, but they're really sweet. Like I like all the Noosa like Try colorways, but this one seemed like real. Like you can wear this more often. It's like it's black, white, and gold. It's worked out.
The colors work great on that one. I mean, I like the Noosa Try look. It's not for me, but that one I was like, oh, I could wear that one.
Exactly. Yeah, like I mean, the Noosa Try, like the normal colorways, you gotta if you're wearing those, rocking those out, you're a bold person, you know, like, and you're like, hey, look, I'm out here, I'm putting in my miles.
Yeah.
But then the other one, I could just kind of fade to black a little bit. Like, you know, I don't have to be in the front, but I'm here to party too, you know?
Awesome. Martha's here. She says the new Citri has a Boston Marathon special colorway.
What's
I was not aware of that.
Blue, yellow, and white?
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't seen that one yet. Awesome. Nice. And then Vincent says, though, like, I am bold, though. So,
yeah.
Well, I think over the weekend, I think Thomas brought his new Citris, too. So, I mean, I feel like that's an example of a guy that's going to be like, he wants everyone to know he's there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they are really good shoes, though. Like, just from a running standpoint, I thought that they'd be like firmer, you know, like when you try them on, they just seem kind of like a firm ride. But as soon as you start running, they kind of the midsole just kind of like transforms into this nice bouncy thing. So they're really good shoes.
All right, cool. Well, let's take a second. And I know we just jumped into it because, I mean, I feel like when we met for the first time last weekend, I felt like we were just able to connect over running and shoes right away and jump right into it. And I feel like we just pick up right up from there. But let's back up for a second and kind of introduce you to everyone that's here. Some people who might not know you. You got your like 10-second, 30-second, like, I'm Tommie, here's who I am.
All right. Well, yeah, no one on here knows me. We can just clear that out. You know, no one knows me on this except for like what you posted last week. But yeah, I'm Tommie Runz. I just started running in 2018, like officially, in training and things like that. Had no real background in running. Just really liked the process and just going out there every day, doing it day by day. But kind of to back up a bit, I'm sober as of 2017, and that kind of led me into the space or mental space to be able to kind of like attack running or do this running thing. And that day by day, like progression and trying to get better and all that fit really well with like sobriety and running. I think they're both very much like life. So it just worked out, and I've had some fun, started a Instagram page, then started a podcast that's not as cool as yours, and then a company called Chip Time Running, and we sell shirts and hoodies and shorts and stuff like that.
Very cool. How long? I mean, I saw Chip Time Running kind of in your Instagram bio, and I was like, oh man, this guy's in like race production and everything. I was yeah, because I knew when we had talked, you were like, yeah, I'm new to running, and I was like, wait, this guy's crazy fast, and he's new to running. This guy, I was like, you sure you didn't run in college or high school? Sometimes people say that. They're like, oh no, I don't. I'm not. I'm kind of new to it, and they'll be like, I mean, I did run Division II for a little while.
Right,
you know,
right.
I get that a lot. Not me, but I get that from people a lot. You know,
yeah.
But you didn't run before 2017.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I ran a 5K in 2015 because my sister wanted me to do it, but it literally was just like, you know, sign up, run. Almost died during the process. Never gonna do it again. Meant it for sure. Like it wasn't like and then do it next week. It was like that's just not my thing. So I didn't run at all for 3 years or so, and then somebody challenged me to run in the Rock and Roll Chicago half marathon and raise some money for Move for Hunger. If anybody's looking for a charity to give money to, Move for Hunger is dope. But it was just a cool process, and I was already in the gym at that point. So he's like, you could do it. And I'm like, yeah, of course I can. And I went out there and did okay. So I kept going after it. Yeah. And then in high school, I played like golf, you know?
Okay.
So, like, I probably tested the aerobic machine, I guess, maybe a little bit. And then like when I was younger, like soccer, but that was like to age 10. So it's like, hey.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would have probably have guessed for you, is like that you maybe played soccer in high school and maybe college just because of your build, and you had just like a lot of like quick speed. So I was like, this guy looks like a soccer player. And I know like you're from Detroit, in the Detroit area. I know soccer's really big in that area. So I was like, that's probably where this guy's coming from. So
unfortunately, I let that go like 10 or 11, and so like maybe I just held the build. I don't know, but I just liked the process of running, and I do a ton of easy running too. I just think a lot of people don't necessarily tap into like that hidden secret of like just running easy often, so you can work on the speed on the other ends, like, you know, easy days easy. And so I've just had some fun, and I don't think I'm super fast at all, but you know, it's a good ride.
All right, man. There's a lot I want to unpack in that kind of last statement, but first I want to spotlight Brenda Logan coming in saying, "I love my run, eat, sleep, repeat shirt." So,
yo, Brenda, you.
Yeah. So, which came first, like the whole idea of the run, eat, sleep, like the clothing or the podcast? Which came first? Because I'm assuming that shirt comes from the Chip Time Running Company.
Yeah.
Clothing.
Yeah, the clothing came first. The run, eat, sleep slogan came first. It says "Run, eat, sleep" across the chest. I think I had it on one of those days in Boston. But it's just like the concept of like that's a runner's life, you know. And if you run smart, you know, eat well and sleep and recover like a pro, and just do that over and over again, it just gets faster. Life, I mean, even if your goal is to be faster, you know, that just makes life a little easier. The running more enjoyable, all that good stuff. So that came along, and then I did, which I'm going to be revamping pretty soon, is a run, eat, sleep week, where we have everybody do, you know, run 1 mile a day, walk 1 mile a day at least for 7 days, eat a healthy meal, take a picture, and then try to get as much sleep as possible and just talk about it, you know.
Cool.
And I just realized like how many people suffered with the eating and sleeping part. I thought like the run part would be difficult, but everybody's like, no, I got that, but I can't. I don't know what a healthy meal looks like. And I don't know like how to get over 6 hours of sleep. So then I started the show in hopes of like getting people on to talk about running, to talk about diet, to talk about recovery, and the importance of sleep. And then that's where the show kind of went from there. And then all of a sudden started having the opportunity to get some really cool people on the show. I didn't intend for it to be like elite athletes, but then it just started happening. So I interviewed some really cool people, and it just kind of worked out from there.
So tell me a little bit more about that, because a lot of the people that are here have their own Instagram pages or smaller YouTube channels, and they're trying to grow. And I always try to think of myself as more of like, I like to think of I mean, I'm not always that way, but I like to think of myself as the creator's creator. So like I make content for YouTube, but I also want to help people figure out how I'm doing it so they can go then execute that in the way that they want to do it for whatever their angle is. So like, was it like, for whatever reason, I got into someone's DMs and they responded and I got a good interview. And then after that, I was able to get more interviews, or I just spread it out and I just like hit everyone's DMs. Tell me about a little bit of how that happened.
Well, I think it's just, I just kind of, I like connecting with people and just having like conversation. And I don't know I can't even remember like who the first one was. It might, you know what? I think what the first person that kind of like made me feel like I could go after, you know, this type of like pro athlete was Parker Stenson. And I think I just messaged him like, bro, you got to be on the show. And he's like, sure. And it was like perfect timing because he had just come back from his injury. He was going to be running a race pretty soon. And I think he ended up winning that race, like a half marathon, I think down in like Florida or whatever. And I got him on the show. And then after that, it was like, you know, these people are just normal people. Like, it's like, I mean, some of them have like agents that are harder to get to them, but it's like, for the most part, they just want to like have good conversation with folks. They want to make a good impact on like the world. They're not just runners. I mean, like, you know, they are, and they are fast as heck, but they're like normal people with normal issues. And that's what I like to talk about on the show too. I think it's a different pitch too, like than to say like, hey, I want you on the show because you've got this, and this going on. It's more like, hey, I want you to come on. And if you watch my show, it's more about like, how'd you start running and like certain things that I can connect to, or like you can connect to as well, instead of it being like, what's your VO2 max? I mean, cause you know, Galen Rupp's VO2 max is like whatever, and it'll never relate to like what I have going on. But if we could talk to this person about like how they get through hard times, how they, you know, when training gets tough, how do you keep going? And that's really like how I kind of positioned it. And I am just definitely in the DMs and trying to connect with certain people, and then you get introduced. So it was just kind of a bunch of everything.
Cool. Very cool. We got in the chat here, we got Dr. Josh from In the Long Run. I think he says, what up, co-fam? I think he was at that race that Parker ran. I think he competed in that one too.
Oh yeah.
Dr. Josh is super fast as well. And so like, I don't think he was that far behind Parker on that day. If I've got it wrong, guys, let me know if I mixed those days up. But I know around that time, I remember Dr. Josh was running a lot of half marathons in Florida at the time. So very cool.
That was cool to kind of catch him before that. And he's just like, I hope everything works out. Got a race coming up. And then he went out there and crushed it.
Well, and that was like a surprise because he didn't like have like a, I mean, it wasn't it was like a kind of a tune-up race for him. So it's not like something that everyone knew was coming. So it was just like,
it was definitely like a tune-up race for sure. And it was just, I didn't even know, like it just kind of happened, you know, like he's like, hey, we got a race coming up too. And so it worked out perfect.
Cool. So speaking of like faster runners, you're no slouch yourself. So like if you want to share PRs, you can, but I will say that you are a pretty fast guy. And that's why I was so amazed that you like had no like prior running experience or like no like high school or collegiate running experience.
Yeah, I mean, well, like, you know, I'll share PRs because I'm happy about them, but like, I don't think that they're like, you know, crazy or anything like that. But like 5K PR as of recent is like 17:23. 10K is 36:33. The half doesn't really matter because it was like a year or so ago. And then I just qualified for Boston in April for next April for 2:48:40 something. So
amazing.
Yeah, those are the PRs. But yeah, I think it's been really cool, and I think the reason why I like it so much because like I don't mind being in pain, you know, because I think like my lifestyle before this point kind of like was, you know, like I was able to be it kind of like has me tap into that like darker space maybe where you sometimes like in a race it gets kind of dark and you think negatively and all this other stuff. And a lot of people don't necessarily like that moment, but I think I kind of relish that because it's in a positive flip to me. I think it's the same place I might have been in at one point, but you know, it's just that you're going at it for a different reason and you can kind of stay there longer, I feel like.
Tell me a little bit more about that. Cause like, I feel like when I'm starting to feel pain in a race, I feel like and I had a conversation with Thomas about it the morning at Falmouth, and where I'm like, a lot of times it's almost for me like that's someone that has anxiety attacks, where sometimes you might have an anxiety attack, and sometimes you have I'm about to have the anxiety, where I'm like, all right, this is how it all starts, and then from here it's going to go all bad. And so I've been spending a lot of time the last year or so trying to do a lot more shorter races, so that way I can get that kind of like hit and kind of let it kind of come around me and be like, all right, these are just signals. These are just like the different kind of data. It's not, things aren't falling apart. That's kind of how I've been approaching it. Tell me about what that, like the start of that is like for you, and like as it continues to sit in that space, what is your relationship with that kind of like that pain feeling, that like that red line feeling, the feeling where like your brain's like, this is too much?
Well, like I think that like this year I had because I was so, you know, in 2019, that was when I decided I wanted to qualify for Boston 2021. But then, you know, COVID happened or whatever. So I didn't end up getting a chance to qualify so now I run 2022. But like for the last couple of years, it was all about like the marathon distance. So all my training was that. I didn't really run any 5Ks. Like it was just, you know, like I just had a lot of workouts, and I'm okay with that too. Like workouts are pretty tough too. But this year I've had the chance, and because I qualified for Boston, I had the chance to like back up a little bit and say like, hey, let's work on some speed. Let's get in some 5Ks, 10Ks. And until this year, I hadn't done a 10K yet. So like, I thought, because I feel like a hard 5K, like if you're really pushing it, I mean, this may be like a crazy statement, but I feel like a 5K like red line is harder to me than a marathon, like just mentally for me, because you know, in a marathon is really hard, but you have so much, in my mind, you have so much time to like go in and out of bad moments. Like 5K, it's like 0.5 in, you're like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, why are we doing this to ourselves? And you have so many moments where you're like, I could slow down. I could just slow down. I could just slow down. But you really don't want to. I thought like a 10K would be like a little bit better. 10K is just a double 5K. Like it's the same thought process. There is no reprieve. It's like, you know, oh, if I can do this 5K, I can do this as a 10K. So you just keep pushing. And I think that like my relationship with like that feeling of like pain and that close to red line feeling. I mean, obviously it's not the same feeling, but I just think in the mental space, you know, I've you know, in my life with like drinking and things like that, where I was just like self-sabotaging everything, it seemed like, even still do to this day. But it's like I feel like I was like, I'm okay with getting close to that feeling of like, I don't want to be here. you know, but because I'm choosing to put myself here for a very positive reason, I have put a lot of work into like these miles. So I always kind of like go back to like the work I put in, why I'm doing it, and the fact that like I'm okay with just being uncomfortable. And I think that like that's all it is. I mean, I heard you say like the anxiety part of it, because it does feel like you're getting close to something that would make you just want to stop doing what you're doing. Like, I don't want to do this. But it's like, once that, the more I realize that as long as you've trained, you know your body a little bit, you can stay right there for much longer than you think. Like, it happens every time. Like, in Falmouth, I wanted to stop at like 5.5 miles, I think, but then there was too many people around for me to like start walking. I was like, you can't stop walking now. Like, you got some kids spraying you with like a water hose. You can't just stop. Like, so, but then you swear that you can't go any faster, and then somehow almost every race, you know, we stay there or we speed up often, you know. So sometimes you just got to remember that this isn't death, you know, and if it was, I guess you died doing something that you liked. But just stay there, because it always, you know, even in life though, if you, those moments when you feel like you want to just give up, normally when you don't, something good happens at the end.
How did from your experience, like, how do you know if it's okay to stay there or if it's too fast? Because I mean, sometimes you can blow up. People do it all the time. I've done it many times, and pretty much I think my last 3 or 4 marathons in a row I've done that. But like, how do you know the difference for you? I mean, I'm not saying like you can give advice generally, but I mean, what are your kind of thoughts on like what's that limit of this is crazy in a good way and this is crazy in a bad way? So
I could, like, 2 parts to that. Like, one, I think that I train a lot to a pace. You know, like if I'm running a half marathon, like I'm training like for that pace. You know, and a lot of it would be, you know, I use the Hanson's marathon method. So I work with like Luke Humphrey running and Melissa Johnson White, who's Hanson Brooks or Hanson's ODP member. And so she, you know, a lot of my training is under, like the faster stuff is way under, you know, the pace I'm trying to go for. And then also like my easy paces are way above. So I like have this big, like it's a, you know, it's very polarized. Like, you know, it's either I'm going really hard or really easy, you know? So, and then those tempos come in or whatever, so you can kind of get comfortable to that feeling. So like I'm very methodical in that sense. So like I don't feel like I go too far very often in races. And if it is, it's by like 10-15 second like pace. And it's easy for me to feel like if my legs are getting tired, like at mile 2 of a 10K, you know, and I'm looking down and I'm 20 seconds faster I'm supposed to be, then slow down. You know, like try your best to slow down and correct as quickly as possible. And I think that that's my biggest thing, is if you just got to know your body, train for it. And then if you feel like it's just out of control, 10 seconds slower for some of these paces can make you feel so much better, you know? And I've heard a trick too, that it worked for me once. It did not work for me the second time, is like 30 seconds of speed. Like if you're trying to hold like a 6 minute pace or something like that, and you just feel like it's just hard and you're not on the hill, then give a surge of like 15 seconds faster than that 6, like drop down to like 5:40. Or 5, whatever. And then pull back, because oftentimes like it's like just a little trick. You know, you don't go so far where you burn yourself out, but like a quick 3, 4, you know, 10 steps or something like that can make you readjust and go, okay, yeah, that 6 minute flat isn't that bad, you know?
See, I've always done it the other way, where I try to recover, give myself a chance to like catch a breath and then pick back up to it. But
yeah, I mean, I think like breath wise, I mean, yeah, there's 2, I mean, because that could work too, because if you're overextended and your heart rate's like crazy and you're breathing heavy and you're like hyperventilating, I don't think that you should speed up. I think like it's more like a leg thing. Like sometimes you just feel like your legs can't go any faster. But if you give a surge, it's like, you know, okay, maybe that's a little better.
Yeah, you know, that's why I really started introducing for my warm-ups before a race. I mean, a lot of people do strides, and that's what I did for Falmouth, because I was like, it's really hot out today, and I'm not sure how much I really want to do. But like, when it's cooler out, I like to have like a 2 or 3 minute like threshold level kind of like short interval, just to give my legs that speed, that turnover, and get a little bit of like, this is uncomfortable, and let the body know like, hey, this is what we're doing today, and kind of like that way. But so I understand that idea.
I love that. Like, this is what we're doing today.
Yeah, like just be ready. This is what's coming. So like, don't complain later. That's kind of the idea. It doesn't always work, but
you're like, I don't want to hear it later. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it works for me though, because I've done it for a couple of time trials now, where in the past, like I'll go out that first mile and I'll just be like, oh, I don't got it today.
Yeah.
And then like I finish that time trial, and then like 45 seconds later, I'm like, I'm fresh. I could go again, But I'm like, so then I started adding in that longer stretch in the warm up.
Yeah.
At near race effort, and I mean, I wouldn't do 3 minutes of race effort for like a mile, but for like a longer race, and then it just kind of primed mentally and physically for me.
Yeah, it's like it kind of hypes you up a bit.
Marcus says so. I do little fartleks in races. I love fartleks. Those are my favorite workouts. So I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like. I literally have tried it like 3 times. I just heard it. It was like for a 5K, and my coach was like, "If you when you're, because like my goal was to be at 5:35, and she's like, if you're in those moments where you just feel like it's like this is crazy, or not this is crazy, but I just can't seem to go any faster, and that like 5:35 seems like super taxing. I mean, because she knows that I'm fit too. Like, so I'm not saying if you don't like dip 3 minutes, on your pace." Just for a second, like it's literally just like nice little surge to get the legs turning over, because often like when we're doing like when we are doing fartleks, that crazy pace, like if you do a workout, sometimes like your recovery paces will be way faster than your normal easy pace, because if you're doing a 6-minute pace fartlek, 8 minutes seems really slow once you're on the recovery, so you're just kind of cruising at like 7:30. You know what I mean? Like it's that feeling of like just tricking your mind. I'm not saying go out and use up all your energy just to get faster, but it's just like sometimes just moving them really quick, just spike and then come back down. That can kind of help a bit.
Cool. I'm gonna have to try that. I'll try it out in the next long run and let you know how.
Oh yeah. That's a safe zone. That's a safe place to do
it. Yeah. Like my next like 15, 17 miler, we'll put it in there.
You speed up. It's just like, hey, this is great.
Yeah. All right. We got something from Corey. Saw Tommie runs and I had to stop in. I'm actually doing Hanson's marathon method because of him.
Nice. All right.
See, you're influencing already. Look at that.
This is the second person that knows me. This is great. I thought this person was gonna know me here. I got 2.
I told you.
What do you got? What do you got, Mike? Nobody on here knows you, Mike. This is
good to see you, Corey. Thanks for stopping in. And we got another one right here. Cecilia Perez III says, Tommie Runs is my hero, all caps.
He's supposed to say that. He's my friend. I've known him for like
you don't just, if you got plants in the audience, that's totally cool. Just let it be. Nobody knows. No.
I think he's supposed to be at work or something. I don't,
you know what? Most of the people tuning in right now, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon here, local time. Yeah. Some are in the U.S., some are abroad, but for a lot of people, this is on in the background while they're working. So, that's par for the course here.
So don't give one of those speeches about like, if you don't like what you do, just quit your job. Don't do that today.
you could do it today. I'm thinking everyone maybe got one earbud in, like that trick, one earbud in, and like facing everybody this way.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad that you brought up the coaching too, because when you mentioned, your easy paces being really easy, and then the hard days being faster than like your full race pace.
Yeah.
And then combining that with the idea that you're emphasizing eating and sleeping, like all of this is like, you're talking like a very, very advanced runner. And I'm like, how does this guy know so much about running in like 3 years? It's amazing. How much of it, like, is this stuff just naturally coming to you? Is this just like you're absorbing the teaching? Because Hanson's, they're local to you, right?
Yes, they are. Yeah, Hanson's is they're based in like Rochester, Michigan. I think I'm probably saying that wrong. Yeah. So I think it's maybe Oregon. I don't know. But yeah, they're here. So, and the guy who wrote the book Hanson's Marathon Method is Luke Humphrey, who is who has also like a training group, and I'm in that group of one of their athletes there. So, I think the health side of it. I mean, so I went sober 2017 and then vegan 2018. And I was working out very heavily between 2017 and 18, and then continued after I went vegan. So like lifting weights, I got all big and bulky and stuff like that. So I was very into like you know, the health aspect of the health side of it. So I came into running vegan. So it just, my relationship to food and like inflammation and stuff like that. I mean, inflammation management is just, you know, that's recovery, you know, like if you're eating foods that are purposely helping you be less inflamed, soreness and swelling and all that, then that just bodes for a good training block, you know. And then when I jumped into running, when I decided I wanted to qualify for Boston very early in my running journey, like a year in, I hooked up with Luke Humphrey and his team. So all of my training has been very methodical, probably much more so than someone that's, you know, 3 years in, because they're just kind of running and then they eventually kind of move on. I was like, I'm somewhat quick. Like I felt like I was within like the realm of like training up to a Boston qualifier. So I'm like, I don't think I could do this by myself. I think I would just be out here, you know, reading every random book in the world, and I didn't want to do that. So I'm like, hey, what's the best plan? Tried one, didn't necessarily land well. I think I was really ready for it, and I needed like the interaction. So a friend of mine who trains for like 50 milers and 100 milers, she's like, just try this Luke Humphrey thing. So that worked out. So from a running standpoint, yeah, I'm kind of like a nerd when it comes to it. And then the food part just kind of falls into place, and it just makes so much sense. And then the run, eat, sleep shirt thing, that was like a happy mistake, because I heard someone announce, one of the announcers in a marathon say run, eat, sleep, repeat. I'm like, I like that. I wrote it down. Then it ended up being a shirt. Then I realized like how deep it really is. Like, you know, run smart, eat healthy, recover, you know, and do it over and over for consistency. So the shirts kind of led me into this whole concept of like, wow, this is a bigger thing, you know?
Yeah. All right. I want to take a second to check in here. I'll tell you about all the people who are watching this while working. So we got Louis says 11:28 a.m. for him at work, and he's still listening in.
There you go.
Carlo Sangalang is teleworking. He's on a coffee break though, so it's totally cool. Villa said that he's listening at work and the CEO just walked in, but thankfully he's a big runner. So
what's up, CEO?
Yeah, there we go. Ines Dunbar over in the UK saying 7:30 p.m. here in Scotland. He's waiting for pizza to arrive, so he's got that coming on. Terry is 7:30 p.m. as well. He's retired though, but watching with his right eye and cricket on the left. You know, multitasking. See, I feel like there's a lot of probably multitaskers.
I'm much more less cool than cricket for sure. Like, don't turn off. If you could just block me out and have Kofuzi on.
Yeah. Sue-Ann is also listening while working, and with which she's doing the one earbud trick, so she's got that going on. All right, but I think that like one of the things that we've been talking about, and it's come across a couple of times, and I was listening to your conversation. I had a long drive this morning as well, but I was listening to your conversation with Tina Muir. And you had mentioned some parallels that you see, or the way that you're resonating with Rich Roll and his experience, in terms of substance abuse, and then finding ways to kind of like, you know, this isn't working for me, and finding a way and other outlets to funnel kind of some of those energies.
Yeah.
And so one thing that a couple of people have mentioned, but let's see, there's another one that kind of just came in a second ago, and if I can't find it right away.
Tina's awesome, by the way.
He is awesome. But one was saying, oh, here we go. Jeff Elliott says, sober and vegan has ultra runner written all over it. And so that's something that, like, when you were talking with Tina, I was like, I feel like there's definitely going to be an ultra marathon in this future. And you mentioned earlier that you got friends that are running 50Ks and 50 milers. What do you think?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I just okay. So like I guess I have to like try to know myself, you know, like as much as I've like thrown myself into like running and on like the clothing line and now the show and then this and that, like the cool part about like being an alcoholic, you know, recovering alcoholic, should I say, is like I have a long track record of being very committed to something, whether it was good or bad, you know. And so now that I have some good things, I get very committed on those things.
Yeah.
And if I like, that's why I will never do a triathlon, because I will be so committed to those three disciplines that it would just like everybody that knows me would just say, forget it, we're gone, you know, because they wouldn't even be around. And then the concept of running. I like the concept of like running trail races and stuff like that and ultras, but I just know, and I've watched and like kind of nerded out like with like Jim Walmsley and stuff like that, like watching those videos, and watching like the YouTube like world of ultras. I just know that like they put in a ton of work, man. Like those people run, like their long runs are often more like longer distances than marathons, and their elevation change is ridiculous.
Right.
Just on a Sunday, and maybe one day, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon. But yes, sober plus vegan is super ultra world.
Yeah. I said the exact same thing as you like 2 years ago. And this year I ran my first 50K trail ultra. So.
Yeah. And you got something coming up real soon that I also will not do.
Yeah. The triathlon's coming up next weekend. So yeah.
You want to see what I'm sending you?
Yeah. Well, no, wait. Yeah, you could show it to me because either way it'll be on camera. But I kind of wanted to be a surprise. But
okay, no, I'm not showing you then.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'll unbox it on another live stream.
All right, cool.
But yeah, I'm excited for it. But like for the triathlon space, like it's running. I usually spend about like 9 to 11 hours a week running. But like triathlon, without even trying, I'm at 12 and 13 hours a week, and I'm not even working that hard. I think so it's like you can easily just lose yourself to it.
Yeah, you just like I just don't, maybe later in life, but just not right now. And I'm old now too, so it's
well I've got some years on you, so like I don't know, maybe there's like I'm like later Tommie maybe.
Okay, maybe in a couple of years.
Yeah. All right, we got a question from Genfriz M. Says, hey, Kofuzi and Tommie, I have a question. What's a good way to know or test if you can run a marathon at your goal time? Like pick 3:20 after running 3:50 at his first marathon. It's like, how does he know if that's doable or not?
What is 3:50?
3:50. I think 3:20 is closer to a little bit under 8-minute miles. I think so. I'm thinking 9-minute miles for 3:50. I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that the 20-minute. I mean, I'm kind of extreme, so like I think a 20-minute jump from like a 3:50 to 3:30 would be, I think, more and like a little more doable. Mm-hmm. And if you train to that and you feel comfortable, like if you check out like the pace grids and you see that like, okay, the pace for 3:30 is, I think, like 7:40 or something like that, mm-hmm. maybe 7:40 something. If you feel like that pace is decent and nothing like crazy, then you build like this whole training block around that pace, and then follow the instructions. I mean, and not to be like a salesperson because I don't make any money from them, but if you like check out like Luke Humphrey thing, they'll show you like where to plug all those paces. And then if you train to that 3:30 and on the day you're not overtrained and you're like right where you need to be, then you can close out the marathon hopefully faster than the front end. Yeah. Get closer to your 3:20. I mean, cutting 10 whole minutes off on the day is tough, but like for the free press, for the Glass City, I think I was trained for 2:50, and then just closed out a little faster on the last few miles and then got to 2:48. But I would say go at 3:30 safely because I just feel like that's a little safer to do a whole 60 week or whatever on. Mm-hmm. But I think it's doable. I mean, it just depends. You gotta know your body too, but I think it's doable. Just listen to your body too. Like take the days off that you need, do strength training, go to see like a sports massage place, like work out some of the kinks that you can't get to. But 3:30, I think it'd be
yeah. Okay. And I think that another way to kind of like check on that too is like as you get deeper into the block, some of those later long runs where you're gonna have longer stretches of marathon miles, that'll be a good indicator. Like you're able to do that. Maybe you've got 7 to 10 miles of marathon pace in like a 15, 17 mile run. If you're hitting that, then you're probably okay. If that was a giant struggle, then, maybe it's not
and
there.
Often too, like, for like the long run point, like even if you start the long run, it's like a 16 miler and I'm not saying make it a progressive run, but if you aim to have to negative split, like first 8 slower than the first 8 slower than, or second half faster than the first, that type of thing helps out too, because if you are able to start cutting down in the last few miles of a 16 and maybe the last few are that, that 3:30 pace, and you feel decent. I mean, that's a good indication. You just don't want to hit that pace all the time. I mean, because people try to prove to themselves that, like, they're always running this pace. I mean, and I just don't think that that's like the way to go.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, I'm a big fan of, like, your slow runs should be super, super slow, compared to what most people think that their easy runs are.
Yeah. I mean, because like people like use Kipchoge or whatever. Like, dude runs 130 whatever miles a week, and the only ones that they show on YouTube are like
the fast ones.
Like like the workouts and like the long runs that are fast. That not all their long runs are fast. Like it's just not. Right. And they don't show their doubles. They don't show like the Kenya shuffle where they're just going like 10-minute pace.
Yeah.
Like they literally run slower than us. Like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was listening to, you had interviewed Ben Bruce on your show.
Yep.
And he was like, I went on a 10-mile easy run. And you were like, what's 10-mile easy run? And he didn't want, I don't know why, if he didn't want to give pace or if that's just not how he talks. He's like, sometimes it takes me 70 minutes. Sometimes it takes me 80.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. Sometimes it takes me, usually a 10-mile easy run for me is 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, he's only running like a minute a mile faster than me. He's like a foot taller than I am and like an hour faster than me in the marathon.
Yeah.
So I think, there's something wrong with my easy run then.
I think that's like, and I'm not saying everybody has to do this, but it's like, if you think about it, like we always go like, we do easy in this way of like, oh, I feel okay right now. But if you just, like, the point of the easy run is to get the miles in and use that like aerobic machine. But then if you look at, like you said, like a Ben Bruce or whatever, and he's running an 8-minute pace, like, and he can on a given day do like 5 flat for a marathon.
Yeah.
Like whatever he's doing, like that should show you that, like, if your fastest pace is 7 minutes flat, your easy pace ain't 8:30. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, I think we just got it. Like me too. Like I always move too fast on my easy days. It's just like, because you feel good, but sometimes you have to like purposely slow down to get the miles in. You're not proving anything to yourself today.
Yeah.
Just be ready on race day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that the other half of that is that I think a lot of people's workouts aren't hard enough. I mean, I'm not saying that people are dogging it, but I think that the way that they're structured, they're not structuring it so that they can work out to I think the right intensities a lot of the time. And a lot of times people's workouts will be marathon race pace. Yeah. But like, no, you got to have 2 more gears.
Yeah.
You don't want super intense workouts.
Yeah. You don't want to have 2. Yeah. You need to have like 3 or 4 gears, like you can't just have 2 fast or not, like it's like, a lot of times, like with the plan I'm on, people will try to do it. And then like in the beginning of like, say the 16, 15, 14 weeks, it's like their easy paces are 7:30 or whatever. But like, we're like, oh, that's going to change, because like as you go the training, you start hitting those hard runs, start getting, the tempo runs, the workouts. Then all of a sudden, like you appreciate when it says easy day. And I think there's longevity in that too. Like, not just going out and not pounding it, but just going at a moderate is too fast. Like for you, like you need to be like almost bored. Like figure, what I'm saying? Like it's like
boring.
Yeah, and then the concept, like, and then if you're out there just running slow and controlled for 16 miles, and you purposely control yourself, that control muscle will like help you on race day too, because you have to have control. Even though you're going much faster, you got to have control, because sometimes we feel great. We take the first 2 miles and go too crazy and blow up later.
Yeah. That's definitely something that I need to work on, because as I've switched to more polarized training, I get excited in the race and I'm like, oh, I can run faster than marathon pace.
Yeah.
And I try to win the marathon in the first 2 miles, So like that control muscle, I like the idea of like, you gotta work that control muscle.
Yeah. If you're feeling great, I mean, it's really hard to go, like the 8:30 for me, like if I'm feeling amazing, like it takes a lot. Like, so it's like those days you'll remember, and just being out there, because you'll get bored on a marathon sometimes. If you're feeling good on that day, like you can kind of get bored for a little bit.
Yeah. So let's talk about Falmouth a little bit.
Yeah.
I know you were going to take it easy, air quotes easy, because your hamstring was bothering you a little bit, but I think it turned out to be okay. It held up.
Yeah.
How'd you end up doing on the race?
I did pretty good. So yeah, because like the hamstring thing like started the day before on our shakeout. So
Yeah.
It was just like this weird feeling. Like I'd go to plant my left foot and it just like this pain would go up the back and I'm like, this isn't never felt it before. So I was really worried. Like I iced it and elevated it and slept weird as hell, just trying to make it better. Felt it the morning of, but when I started running, I just didn't feel it. Maybe adrenaline or whatever. I'm not sure. Even on our shakeout together, it just worked. It was fine. And so it turned out to be really great. Like I wanted to treat it like a 10K, like pace wise. So my goal pace was 550 to 555. I thought I looked at the elevation of the course, but apparently I overlooked a few of those hills. And it was just super intense. It was a great day. Like I felt like I got with a couple people around me that had the same goal as me, which is another story about running, but it's just great to be out there with other people. The crowds were amazing. And I was able to hold 555 for the whole race. And did what I say 41:20. I think 41:20 was the finishing time.
That's amazing. So then you beat Megan by a little bit then.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to get her to like talk her into like going with me in the beginning.
Yeah. Was she like no?
She's like, well, at first she was like, yeah, because like, and then I think that like the hills were in the beginning. I probably, if I knew what the hills were, maybe I would have gone a little slower in the beginning. But I think she negative split it anyway. So she ran it very smart. I just got lucky and held on, because I thought that the flat part between, mile 4 and 5 was that flat stretch. I thought that was going to be like my moment where like, okay, cool. I'm just going to drop down to like 540 right here and just hold it and just sail in. But those are my 2 slowest miles.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I just couldn't. It just something about just the straight aspect and kind of boring, lull you to sleep type thing. I just couldn't move any faster.
It got real hot because there was no more tree cover
That's
there.
True.
So like
too delirious to feel temperature. It's just like
yeah. Oh, awesome.
Such a great race though.
That was really fun. Just so much fun to be able to participate in that. It's like a historic race, and like that finish, I was describing it to the live stream earlier this week. It's like a roller coaster at the end because you got like you got 2 builds, and then when you come down, it's like a ride because you're just like cruising, and you can just really open up. It's steep enough where you feel downhill, but like it's not so steep where you got to brake. So I'm like, you could just let it go.
Yeah, and then and it's kind of, I'm sure it's pretty tough though, because like if you're really at the wall, like before you get to that hill's gonna hurt. I mean, that hill hurts anyway. Yeah. But then if you like, because going downhill is kind of steep, is tough if you're on tired legs, because you're like, am I gonna fall on my face right now? Like I don't even know where my legs are. You know. So like I was just I just prayed I didn't land on my face anywhere, and then just let that, because that last hill was. I laughed. I thought it was the one before.
Yeah. I think a lot of people did.
I thought it was the hill before. I'm like, wow, that wasn't that bad. But I could see how that could be a thing. And then like we turned that corner, and then it was just like a mountain in front of you. Luckily, there was a guy in front of me that I was able to kind of lock onto.
Okay.
And I caught him on the hill, so that he kind of helped, like, because I was trying to like just get past him and maybe help him too, maybe push him a little bit. But it was crazy.
There was a lot of people there though to kind of like rely on and to work with. I found where I was running with Robbie, and we had a small group of people that we kind of like shuffled around in, but for a good like 4 or 5 miles of the race, and we all kind of finished somewhat close. So at the end we were like, oh man, thanks. I was using you for pacing, and I was like, I was using you for pacing. Yeah. So there was a lot of it was good to be in like a race.
Yeah, it felt great. I mean, because like I've been in a couple races this year, but I mean they're a little smaller. So like someone like in my pace bracket, you end up being alone a lot. Maybe not first, but like you're just in this no man's land. Yeah, it was really cool because like me and this one guy I ran with, Gregory, who I talked about in my post on Instagram, because he had his name on across.
Yeah.
The whole race, everybody's yelling out Gregory, and I'm like, oh, like. Can somebody just at least say my number or something? Like acknowledge me. And the only person that said my name on the whole course was Matt from Tracksmith.
Yeah, I know, but like one person knew you on the course, but it was like the guy that started Tracksmith. So I mean, that's pretty good, you know.
It made it better. No, yeah, he didn't say Gregory's name. So
there you go.
Yeah, but it was fun though. I mean, because the guy Gregory, like he just, I don't know where he came from, but I think he might have just been behind me for the first couple miles, like right back there. I just didn't look back. But eventually he was like real side by side for the last probably 3 miles or so. So that was incredible. And running with people is just so much fun. And I can't wait for like the rest of the world just to continue to open. You know,
yeah, I mean, and knock on wood, hopefully we continue to go in that direction.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a step back. I see the shoes behind you. Well, I guess we could probably end it here. I know I've had you on for a long time.
Okay.
Let's go through. We've been talking on the in the videos here on the channel, and we've been talking about it kind of all year about not just a shoe, but your entire rotation of shoes. You don't got to list every one, but like take me through like a week of your running in shoes, just to get a flavor for like what are you like reaching for most frequently these days.
Okay, so like these days, not because of that amazing trip, but these days, like the Asics Nova Blast 2 are like, I probably wear them. I mean, I run 6 days a week. Let's just do 2 weeks because on the 2 weeks, I probably wear them maybe 3-4 times, and that's pretty good for me. Lately, some of my longer runs because of these races are trying to be a little quicker. So I'll wear like a Nova Blast 2. I mean, not the Nova Blast 2, but the Noosa Tri. I wear that quite a bit. Let me turn around here. I wear the Hoka Rocket X a lot for like some of those days that will be a little moderate to tempo. Because those are pretty quick. I like them a lot. I don't know if I wouldn't race in them, but I use them as more like a quick shoe. One of my favorite trainers for like those feelings where like when I'm feeling good but want to have a little more control, I guess, with the ground, a little more responsive. I go with the Skechers Razor XS.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because like 80% of my training is literally like easy to moderate, and then for like fast-paced days, like I said, I'll pull out the Hokas. I don't often wear like my actual race day shoe, unless it's like really close to the race and I just want to. Like I wore the Vaporflies yesterday, but that's because we're in between races. I have Crim next Sunday, and I think those are the shoes I'm gonna wear. And that's kind of it right now. Like it gets really tight. Like I like the Saucony. What are these ones? The Saucony Speed 2. I like those a lot too for like that moderate to fast pace.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
right in the range. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I like to have 1 or 2 shoes that are just steady miles, easy pace, and then 2 or 3 that are right in that range where you just go on feel like what I want to wear today. And then fast paced stuff is like, I will pull out the Vaporflies every now and then, but not much.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's been great to be able to talk to you. And I feel like people have been hitting your YouTube channel in the chat. They've been letting me know about it. So thanks everybody for supporting Tommie. But where is like your primary space? Where are you at if people want to find out more about you?
Just go to it's on Instagram. It's at Tommie Runz, TOMMIE_RUNZ. Runz is not my last name, but you can act like it is. It's fine. So that's where everything is. Link in bio for all the other cool stuff. My birthday's coming up, guys. So at least just stop by, give me a little follow, and wish me happy birthday. I'd appreciate that. Awesome. Happy birthday and good luck at Crim. Yeah. And thanks everybody for tuning in today with Tommie Runz. Check him out. And I will see you guys in the next one. Until I see you guys again, though, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks, man.